Hey everyone, welcome to this week's installment of What Does the Fox Say? We have a little more detail this week on what the new waiver guidance for 1332 waivers under the Affordable Care Act can supposedly look like under the Trump administration, and it's not good. So the detail that was released by Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services this week on the new guidance and some examples that they would consider under the new 1332 waiver guidance that I talked about a few weeks ago really are opening up the doors to any number of sort of runarounds of the ACA consumer protections. So states could change the structure for the financial assistance and potentially shift how those are allocated to people and potentially leave folks who are currently eligible for financial assistance without it. It also, as I alluded to a couple weeks ago, promotes sort of non-compliant plans like short-term health plans and association health plans that do not have to meet ACA basic consumer protection requirements, and could deny people with pre-existing conditions, impose annual and lifetime limits, all of those lovely things that we thought we'd done away with could come back depending on how states approach these new waivers. It could also bring back things like high-risk pools, which we know from Colorado's experience don't really work. So there's a variety of ways that this new guidance could really undermine a lot of the ACA protections that people have fought very hard to defend over the past 2 years. However, what I will say is that when a state decides to go forward with a waiver along these lines, I think we will see immediate legal challenges to those waiver requests. I think there's also the chance that this new guidance will be challenged in court in and of itself, because really the typical process for changing this kind of guidance would be put through more of the standard regulatory comment process where the public and advocates would have a chance to weigh in on the new guidance. And that has not happened. So this is really a unilateral change that flies in the face of the law as it was passed under the Affordable Care Act, and so I think is subject itself to potential legal challenges even before waivers are submitted by states. I don't think Colorado is likely to see waivers that would adversely affect how the ACA works here in our state. But I do think the new guidance makes it harder for Colorado to use waivers potentially in the next couple years in a way that would be potentially beneficial. If state lawmakers decide to try to innovate and use some of the funding available under the ACA to try to expand quality affordable coverage, or expand, say, the tax credits that might be available to folks with little higher incomes, which we know is really needed for folks on the Western Slope. Waivers like that under this new guidance are likely to be denied, unfortunately. So it sort of ties our hands as far as how much Colorado may be able to innovate under these waivers going forward, at least until 2020, when we have a new election and the situation could change. However, the good news this week is that we seem to have a deal on the Farm Bill that will keep sort of the current requirements for SNAP or food stamp participants as is currently under law. There was a lot of pressure from conservative Republicans to add much more stringent work requirements to the food stamp program. There are already some work requirements attached to food stamps, and the changes that Republicans were wanting to make were really designed to try to kick people off of the program. They were not really supporting family financial stability or health. And so it's good news that the House seems to have largely acquiesced to the Senate version of the Farm Bill that does not add these harmful restrictions. And I think that is an important sort of win here before Congress sort of ghosts for the holidays. Right now, they are in a budget fight and have to pass a continuing resolution or something to keep the government at least partially funded. And a lot of the fight, as you may know, around that centers on Trump's sort of trying to force funding for a border wall and all sorts of other things to stop immigrants coming into this country, even though the vast majority of immigrants that we are seeing at our southern border are trying to seek asylum, which is an entirely legal process under the U.S. Constitution. So how all of that plays out, I think, remains to be seen. There's the possibility of a government shutdown, but hopefully that won't be how things play out. But food stamps are safe for at least another, hopefully, 5 years or beyond, and maybe we can see some expansion of food stamps and in ways that actually help those families that need that nutritional assistance. The last thing I was going to say is Tuesday is Colorado Gives Day. If you are inclined to make donations to CCHI or other organizations, it's a great day to do it because many of the transaction costs are lower. So more of your donation actually goes to the organizations that you are donating to. If you are inclined to donate to CCHI, you can go to cohealth.co/cogives. And that'll get you to CCHI's Colorado Gives page. And we really appreciate your support. This is, as most nonprofits, we rely on individual donations and grants, and where we can, we try to find ways to get earned revenue and things like that, but we are nonprofits and operate on very thin margins, and your donations make a huge difference. So I will not be back with you this next week because I will be out of the office, but please consider donating. You can schedule your donation in advance, and Colorado Gives Day is next Tuesday, December 4th. Thanks.